Hi, it's Nick here, and in today's episode we're going to be talking about 3 ways that you can increase your cash flow and change payment terms to suit you, even if you're a little company. Now, a lot of business owners come to me and they're small companies that support larger companies, and they say, hey Nick, you know what, like some of the payment terms are maybe 30 days after the end of the month, 45 days after the end of the month, right? And what that means for anybody watching this is you don't get paid up for 30 days after the end of the month of the job. So if you start at the beginning of the month, you got to wait 30 days roughly for the month to be finished, and then another 30 days payment after that, which ends up being 60 days. And for a lot of businesses, this is really hard to handle. So I want to show you that there is a way that you can negotiate terms, and most importantly, there's a way that you can increase your cash flow, especially the volume of cash flow that comes into the business. All right, let's start here. Number 1, first of all, it's about recognizing what I call the VOR, or the velocity of return. Now, people are like, Nick, what's a velocity of return? Isn't that like cash flow? And your answer is no, it's close to it and it affects it, but it's not exactly like it. So velocity of return is what the cycle is from when you start the job to when you get paid for the job. So as an example, you may start the job, let's say in May, but you're not getting paid until September. So that gives us literally May to June to July to August to September, 4 months. Now, if you've got 10 other jobs that are starting in front of there, right? Let's say you got another job starting in June, another one in July. Well, you need money to start them. So the velocity of return takes a long time. Now, if you can calculate the velocity of return, what you can start to do is to calculate how much cash flow that you need as well to start to build your business. So number 1, calculate the velocity of return. On average, how long is it taking you from when you start the job to when you get paid for it? Right? Super important. Now, some people have roughly got a 90-day cycle, right? One of my companies is a 200-day cycle because they do really big work for the mining industry, right? So it all depends on what type of cycles that you have for your company. Now, number 2 is it's important to look at your margins and incremental increases or decreases. And here's what I mean by this. A lot of people say, Nick, the margins are kind of stuck and that's just the way it is. Well, the answer is not necessarily. And here's what I mean by this. If you want to get an increase, just a simple X amount of percent increase, when what you do, the smallest of margin compounded over a period of time makes all the difference. And let me give you an example. A lot of my businesses that I work with, one of the things that we do is I go, how can you drop off the bottom line? In other words, our expenses, how can you drop 0.5% to 2% per month? Let's think about it. Let's call it 1% on average. 1% compounded over 10 or 12 months is more than 12%. It actually works out to be almost 18% because it just compounds. So let's say month 1 is 1%, month 2 becomes then 2%, month 3 becomes 4%, and it keeps on growing like this. It's pretty amazing. But guess what? You can probably find 1%. If your expenses are $100,000, you could probably find 1%, and it compounds. Now people go, well, I need money now. And I'm like, cool, I'd like a pot of gold right now, but it doesn't work like that. In business, you need to play the long game, and you need to make sure that you're incrementally compounding. So it's important to understand, how do I increase or decrease using incrementals? So let me give you an example. So I've got a tiling company called Better Tiling. One of the things that we wanted to do was, how do we find 3% on a particular job that we had? So we had, a team of about 30 subcontractors working on it, right? We outsourced that to a subcontracting team, and we said, how do we find a 3% there? So look, we did some negotiation with them. We said, hey, we've got 5 other jobs there. You could probably add it over the next 3 jobs, 1% up on 3 jobs, which gave us 3% for that particular job. Guess what? They're happy with it. They agreed. Guess how we used it? I'm going to show you part 3. Part 3 is try to negotiate a percentage, right? A percentage rebate for quicker, guess what? Cash flow payments. Let me show you the perfect example. So with this company, when we negotiated with the subcontracting team, they found 3% margin. Then we said to the big company, look at these terms and conditions, a big company that's a massive, they're multi-million dollar, almost like half a billion dollar company. We said to them, hey, usually we know that it's 30 days past the end of the month. Hey, you know, we're only a small, nimble business. You know that you preferred us to do the work. We're happy to do the work, but hey, you know, we need cash flow to keep on working because we've got other jobs to do. So we said, hey, can we help you out 3% on the terms and conditions? So let's call the job $1 million. We helped them out 3%. Now you go, Nick, why would we lose that money? Because we're not actually losing that money because we got the 3% from the other company, right? And that means win-win. We got paid within 14 days. Not from the end of the month, but every 14 days they give us the next payment. Next payment. Why? Because 3% to them made the difference. See, we negotiated the rebate towards us. So this is what you can do. Now, I know that this has worked because I've tried it with a lot of different companies. So let me recap this. In order for you to increase your cash flow and negotiate terms and conditions, number one, figure out your velocity of return. Number two, incrementally increase or decrease so you can have a margin buffer to start putting that cash flow away. And then number three, negotiate a percentage on a rebate back to them. Hey, the job's 200 grand. Hey, if you're okay, can we take 10,000 off? And guess what? We'll help you out. And that's 5%. You can maybe then go to a supplier and go, hey, can you help me out 5% on some of this stuff? Hey, laborer, can you help me out 5%? You're going to find it from somewhere if you really do. The game here to be won is in small incremental improvements that are compounded. Sound good? If you're happy with this and you'd like to see some more videos, please subscribe to our channel, Upcoach Business Growth Programs. I'm Nick Sala, and I'll see you on the next one.